Right. Oh, have I shared screen? Hi, everyone. Welcome to FESIG. This is the 14th FESIG meeting. This is based at the Trust, London, UK. Today's date is the 6th of July, 2016 at 5:30 p.m. And this is our venue, the Community Centre at Ayton Place, London, Stockwell. Well, for those who are new, like Teresa, you're new, Teresa, we just started the meeting.
Right.
Yeah, FESIG is Free Energy Special Interest Group, as you know, and you signed in.
That's right.
Yeah, to be in the database, so that's why you've been invited to join this meeting. So, introduction to the formation of the FESIG group. Our primary objective is to build our own free energy devices for our own needs, health, and connection within, meaning to say, towards the ascension.
Yeah.
Trailblazing new developments in the plasma technology beyond human intelligence. Our secondary objective is to build skills, nurture a career in manufacturing, spin-offs in cottage industries, in the community, creating employment.
I'm not sure.
All creeds and races, towards unity, peace and harmony, working together for freedom and the betterment of humankind. I hear a voice in the background. Who is speaking, please? Okay, I'll continue. Well, this is our meeting agenda today. A quick presentation of FESIG to new members, which I've just done. A report of FESIG activities and development. Yosan and Kiki to follow up with me. Kiki's not here, so Yosan will have to do the honors. And then number 3, Tricia Jores, who's here with us, introducing the Hedeca spirals, the Trinity copper spirals. Yeah, and of course we have our revered main teacher, Mike Nashif. He's an awakened light warrior, especially intuitive.
I watched his video.
Oh, have you? Oh, you know Mike. Mike's here with us now.
Yeah. I don't know him, but I just watched the video.
And Michael Moore's here as well. And number 5, members sharing their experiences with their devices and their knowledge as well as wisdom. And then we adjourn to the next meeting on the 20th of July. Right, so that's basically what we have today in today's meeting. And that's it. This is me, and you can contact me through Crystal at truevisionofpeace.com, through the website truevisionofpeace.com/FESIG.html. Okay, so that's it. So now we're going to have a short little report of what's happening. If you could help me, Teresa. This is upside down. Yeah. Because there's no place to clip the camera on. So somebody may need a cameraman. So I made Teresa a cameraman. Yeah. So we have, if you could put the camera towards me, then people can see me, and it's me who's talking.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Right. So a short report on what's happening with FESIG. Well, I have been traveling, and I went to Spain and France, and met up with Spain. We met up with Kiki, Lenis, and Neil. Neil is supposed to be here today, but it's not. Okay, so we had with Dr. T.B. Hughes, and we had made some Mike Nashif's health pans, and it was really good. We had tested on people as well, because we went to France. We followed Kiki Flamis to the Buddhist retreat, and we had used the health pen on the retreatants there. Right. And apparently it was so amazing, because almost all of them, I would say 99% of them, say that they had some healing benefits. Right. If not, they could feel the energy. Yeah. And there was a short little video clip that we've made with Susan, thinking that there is hair touching her skin, but the health pen didn't even touch her skin. You know, there was a distance between. She felt sensation. She's a sensitive. So.
I have a health pen.
Do you?
I didn't make it, but
Mike Nashif's?
No, I didn't.
Actually, it's Mike who started, he pioneered the health pans, and he taught Renan how to do it in Cash Foundation.
Okay.
And then it became like as if it was Renan who did it, you know.
Yeah, I never
so,
knew who started
yeah, he's the originator.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it for the health pans, and Kiki Flemis had his own version as well, you know, expanding and being more creative as well. And then we had Talida doing health pans with clipped crystals towards the end, you know, so it's really nice and creative. We really had a good time. And we actually did other developments as well with your son, talking about building creative devices. And your son has been appointed the international coordinator of plasma developers and designers. Okay, and he has given a lot of insights as to how we're going to move this thing and how fast we're going to move it and how we're going to get funding and things like that. So excitement.
Well, what about activities in London? That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, this is where FESIG is based. So our activities is based here.
Okay,
and this is going international now. And then I have made 2 Q6s, one for Kiki and one for Dr. T.B. Hughes. And the 2 Q6s, and it's got firewall and all that, so it's all well and done. And then we had, because meeting up is very synergistic. Meeting up face to face, you're able to come up with lots of developments and plans in pipeline, okay, and also we were developing on how ideas on how we can get funding to build plasma communities and things like that. Yeah. So that's it for now. And I would like to show you Teresa. This is Teresa, and she has just got here not too long and helped me with this camera. And now over to you, your son. We need a report, your son, of your ideas on the developments, plasma developers as well as designers that you're gathering together.
Okay, hi everybody. It's a pleasure to get to know everybody. There's many issues that I can touch really. The first one that was on my mind, the relationship to the grid, because the level of surveillance and tracking of the various agencies, especially people who are developers, has increased. This level of surveillance has increased to where they know that we are developers. They know exactly every word that I say. And and there is a relationship between our devices and the grid, because what Keshe presented is a device which is dependent on the grid. When you come to measure your reduction of consumption, you may still get the same bills as before, because the bills are printed in the computer that has nothing to do with your usage of electricity. So this is the first point that I want to make, because people are working with me and they're using devices and they say they don't see any reduction. So I want to hear your reflections on this.
I can say I've got savings. I've got Q6 mounted and I've got savings. So Crystal, please say what you've got to say and other people, and I can add my own as well at the end, yes.
Thank you. And I do have savings as well, your son. I mean, I kept a very close watch on my meter readings, okay? And when I, just before I left for Spain, I had readings of about 3 units per day on my electricity readings, meter readings. And I have got 1 Q24 and 1 Q6. Well, I made some more, but I gave away. So, and I didn't load it up because I was away, so my whole flat was shut down. It's just that I plugged it into the wall switch on, okay, without any loading. And I left. And when I got back 3 weeks later, I noticed that it's gone down to 0.5 per day, units per day. But of course, there's nothing going on in the flat. And then I stayed on, in the last week that I'm back, I noticed that it's gone up to 1.05, which is fair, because I've started using hot water, I've started using appliances and things like that. But the fact is, it's gone down from 3 units to 1.05, which is incredible. And my bill has come back. I don't know, maybe I was away, so I will keep monitoring a report, okay? My bill has gone down quite a lot, from 50 pounds, 50, 60 pounds to now 14 pounds, 1.4. So there has been some reduction, your son. I know you and I had discussed, yeah.
To hear other people report this, because here what I'm having is some suspicion about what the electricity company does with us. You know, I'm not sure that we are getting the proper measuring, you know. So this is one thing that I wanted to say. The other thing that I wanted to maybe speak about is the nature of this reality, because you know, they say that there's a lot of falsehood, a lot of deceit, and a lot of control, and so on. And when you want to really check what nature has this control and what is this life, without to measure things that usually people would consider magical or unrelated to electricity, or unrelated to the devices, or unrelated to anything. I'm checking in all direction of existence, really, to see what connects what. Hear Mike's opinion about this.
Right, thanks, your son. Peter, you want to say something about your electricity reductions?
Yes, you see, the thing is that I knew in the first place that Cash was saying about having a devices. Excuse my son because he's annoying here.
Hi.
Yeah, Gregor is just annoying here, so it might be difficult for me to say a few sentences properly. I mean, in the first first days in December, when I found Cash, I found that he talked some time ago, because it was recording. I don't recall what the date and what the recording was, but I remember for sure that it was Cash's weekly meetings, yes? And on that meeting, Cash said that we learn about these devices to not use these devices in the future. And as for that, it's simply to understand that we will use with our subconscious mind. So we will use for real with quantum physics. That's it. And if someone is coming to me and saying they've got no results on a current reduction, yes, so the electricity bill is the same as it was. Even my friend had bigger. He had 10 or 20% bigger than he originally had on Magrab, because he had this regular free-stacker Magrab. And then he felt really weird about it. He felt like he'd been more anxious during the day. He was more, he acting more hectic, and he started to feel that it's, unpleasant for him and for the environment. And so the capacitor blew up, and then he changed the connection. So the Magrab was connected into the zero. Oh, sorry, into the ground. Yes, instead of to the face. So that's mean instead to the live wire. And so now he found that he immediately had 20% of reduction on the current bill. So what we're checking, Joseph, is we're checking the kilowatts. We don't check the bill, but we do check the kilowatts. I got only one Q6, and Q6 is connected from the mains on the wall, on the socket. It's plugged in. Next, it's going from Q6 power to power up my computer, which is running right now and I'm talking to you, and monitor, 24-inch. Then there is another wire going. One laptop is plugged in here right now as well. And there is a TV, and there is a Sky sub TV, and there is as well Hi-Fi. Yes, so all together, when it was working,
I wanted to ask you this question.
uh-huh.
I wanted to ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is the changes is attention. His attention went.
Yes. Now my intention was no, don't care about it in the first place.
Wait a minute, listen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying his attention. This guy, your friend, attention.
Your son, it's breaking
Attention.
a lot. I can't hear you.
He. Okay, let me see. The question is, when you give different attention, different kind of attention, you see them in different ways, you behave differently. You want to relate these devices, ascending devices, these ascension devices, they relate to behavior, to relationship, not only to electricity.
Okay, I can't understand. I can understand certain words, but as a totality, I can't understand what you're saying, mate. I'm sorry, but the connection is either poor or something's wrong with the connection, and so it's difficult for me to understand what you were asking for.
Oh, your son just moved house and he's got low bandwidth. Go on then, your son.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to establish a relation between life and plasma, life, not electricity.
Okay, I haven't connect myself with a device. Okay, it was like impossible for me to get any connection when I was trying to let's say visualize and so on. There was no connection whatsoever. Only what I did, I plugged in.
Well,
Yes.
I have a very good relationship with the devices.
Okay.
And I don't look at them so much as electricity devices. I look at them more as an opportunity to expand yourself.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from, but you were asking about the current savings. So I'm telling you just now, it's a book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. Great book, really old, written by Joseph Murphy. He's telling about such stuff, but not about having a current for free, but he's telling about even healing for free from cancer and so on. It's a great book. So,
yes,
so
yes,
you can use affirmations, and you can use the stuff which is described in The Power of the Subconscious Mind to have a free electricity with that. Sorry, but it wasn't working for me in the first place as well. And then when I set up affirmation, it started from 7p, 5.5p to 7.5p, depend which devices were enabled. I had bill for every hour. Yes, because I've got a smart reader, so I see every kilowatt per hour. And when I start to see the savings after my holiday, it's 3.5 to 4.5p per hour.
yes.
Okay, but I'm telling you that in my case.
Okay, my interest. Okay, my interest is not in it. I'm not current. I'm not talking about the same thing all the time. I'm jumping from one thing to another. What I'm asking you now is the point where you changed for you. Can you identify this point? Because this point for me is more important than the saving.
For me, yes, I was interested in the working with energy for many, many years. And when I came to cash, I knew that the device won't give me a change in the first place. my subconscious mind couldn't buy it, yeah, because my conscious level was saying that the device on its own won't give you any energy. So I need to use affirmations. And so it happened when I start to use affirmations. It might be
Affirmation. That's good enough.
That's a very good experimenting.
Very, yeah. So the power of intention as it is affecting the devices that you build, or the way you understand how to work with it. The second thing that I wanted to talk about is Krista said that I'm working to help promote builders. I'm a coordinator for different people. If any of you is having dreams, ambitious plans to become a developer and to create stuff, please contact me. Keep me, in the know, so I'll know what you're doing.
Thank you, your son. Thank you, Peter. Now, I think I would like to move on the items of the agenda. If you got, if you have anything more important to discuss in this direction, shall I then just move on to Tricia? Because Mike is here. We don't want to take too much of his time. And every one of us is very excited to hear what Mike has to bring forth in this meeting. So
I'd like to add a little bit to what these two gentlemen were just discussing about their
Yes, go ahead.
The savings or the readings. Okay, a lot of it has to do with how much load you're putting on to your units. Okay, if you're only going to put a simple lamp as your load, you're going to get about 1.5 to maybe 3 times the amount of energy of that lamp put back into your power system. So you're not going to see much of a load or a savings. It's almost like the device isn't even there that you've just plugged in. Okay, and if you really want to see savings, what we try to teach is at the basic level that anybody who has a home with electricity can make this device and plug it into the wall. Okay, and the idea here is that we're borrowing a piece of the main line. Okay, and we're borrowing a piece of the hot wire, because that's where the electrical current is passing through, and it's channeled. It's going in one direction there. Okay, when you add your devices, no matter what they are, the Q device, the MagRav, the IQ devices, okay, when you do that, you're just tapping into that one single wire. Okay, you're making a big old knot of wires that's going to create an induction field. Okay, and it's going to hold plasma, and as the electric current passes through the main line, it's going to pull plasma with it, kind of like a water turbine. That's what comes to mind. Okay, and so as it's doing that, it's going to nanocoat the electrical wires inside of the home. Now, if you don't have a very big demand on your unit, it's going to take 3 or 4 months for your home to become nano-coated. And that's when you're really going to start seeing the savings, okay? And in the process, you're going to, see small savings, okay? Like for me, for instance, I've only had my unit plugged in for about 60 days, and I have my shed here going off, and I have a air conditioner that's running 24 hours a day, okay? And all of my stuff is plugged into this unit, okay, in the shed. But my electric bill does not reflect that this shed even exists, okay? It's only gone up maybe $40, and that's because I started using the air conditioner because it's 110 degrees outside, And so I know that my unit is working, and it's just like it's not even there. It's just non-existent, okay? So it's not really that your electric bill is going to go down, all right? And if you want your complete house to be taken off the grid, then you need to be smart and know how electrical systems work And as the wires come in from your outside breaker, okay, and they enter your home into the inside breaker box, you need to put in the hot wire there, you need to put your device. You have to cut the hot wire, and this is where you need to be smart. You cut the hot wire and put your device in between where you would cut it, okay? So if you were to cut the wire and split it, okay, the in would go here and the out would go here, and that whole unit would be sitting in between there, like a fuse, okay? You have to think of it like an inline fuse, all right? And when you're doing that, now all of the energy must pass through that little plasma energy bubble before it enters your home. And now your whole home has become the load rather than just your light. All right? So you got to be careful with this stuff because nobody's been able to test it on the full strength or full size. I teach using 18 and 20 gauge wires. Okay? You'll see that, you know, your house wires are 14 and 12 gauge wires, and the cables that are coming in are 12 and 14 gauge wires that are all twisted together. So it can be pretty intimidating when you're messing with it. And electricity will knock you on your butt, okay, if not kill you. So you got to be educated in this. And what we try to teach you guys is the basic stuff at home, and it's going to give you a smaller amount of savings, okay? But for the big industrial size, you know, units or people that understand electricity better and how it works and operates at the breaker box, okay, those are the people that can splice into the whole home unit, okay, and put their unit in that particular area rather than off of a plug, okay, where you're borrowing a piece of the hot wire, okay, and it's all on a complete separate circuit and it's all isolated, okay. So instead of taking a piece of your home, all right, we're going to include the entire home. And when you do that, you will see a much greater savings, okay, most likely no electricity bill at all, and you will be able to feel the energy a lot more prevalent from your units. And when you do that, then you are in control of that unit, okay, when you're inside of that plasma bubble. And you can tell it to rapidly nanocoat my home, okay? Do it as quick as possible. You control it, okay? You might have to tell it 2 or 3 times, because if you tell it to increase its power 100%, okay, its 100% might be different than your perception of 100%. So you might have to ask it to increase its power 100% and then do it again another 100%, okay, and ask it again for another 100% until you are satisfied, okay, and you will feel the satisfying energy inside, the peace, when that happens, okay. And this is where you're learning to interact with your unit using your emotions. And this is where a lot of people are not understanding, is that, you know, you're not going to see, like the gentleman was saying, you're not going to see particular savings, okay, but you're going to see that you can use a lot more stuff and maintain what you've already are spending until you create the imbalance where you're not using, or you're giving back more than what you're actually using, and you've reached the threshold of 0 point energy, okay. You've got to build up to it. Right now with these IQ units and the MagGrav units, it's designed to sit down lower on the scale, okay, and then it's creating a slow balance like this, okay, and at some point it'll reach the 0 point before it'll start to give more than you're using, okay. And it's designed that way so that society doesn't go flip on its ass and we get stuck, all right. So if you're trying to be impatient, it's not going to work, all right. The technology is being given out a trickle at a time so that society itself doesn't crash, okay. And we're offering, you know, the open source technology out here so that people can take it, okay. We offer the base units, okay, the very basics of what you can build, right? And then from there you would add to it. You add to your base knowledge. You learn how to combine your energy fields. You learn how to do all of that stuff. And when it's done correctly, you get a much bigger result, Okay, we're at the crawl stage here when it comes to plasma devices. Okay, so having disappointment in the slow results is actually the way things are supposed to be playing out right now. Okay, so take the pressure off of your guys' shoulders here. All right, pretty soon you're going to have a whole bunch of devices that you're not going to know what to do with. Okay, and you're not going to have to make them by hand because it's going to be an instant replication of what you've designed. Okay, so it's not going to be as difficult as you think. We got a few more hoops that we got to go through here, you know, in order to get there. We just need a little bit more patience and, you know, understanding. We got to get rid of some of these other cartels still that are holding out. But this is easy stuff for us to all do at home. We try to give the simplest version so that, you know, our oldest and youngest person can become involved at the easiest level possible without trying to confuse. And when you start pulling in meters and trying to get readings and trying to force results on something that is dependent on actually how each individual unit is built, you know, is very difficult to do. And I think that's an expectation that's not very fair for the plasma developers right now who are just learning about their own energies. So
that is so absolutely true, Mike. Mike, we have David Palfreeman's hand up for a long time now. Would you like to take his question? David.
Oh, I didn't know there was a question. Sure.
David. Okay. I guess Peter has to unmute you. David, you want to speak up?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, David.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah. Yes, I built one of your units, Mike, and I used some old wire on a motor, and I realised after I built it that it was varnish coated, and I think that was a mistake to use that and not burn off the varnish. What do you think?
Well, it has its purpose. If you wanted to use a varnished wire, if you were trying to nano coat the copper, then yeah, the varnish is going to inhibit the contact of the the nano coating to the actual copper.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and so one way to do that is to get rid of it is just to actually make a new caustic solution, okay, and submerge all of the wire inside of the caustic solution and let the wire get to the same temperature as the liquid, okay? And when it does that, the varnish itself will be eaten away and be absorbed into the into the caustic, okay, exposing the copper, all right? Yeah. And when you do that, you'll actually create kind of a varnish. The same elements that are in the varnish will be in your caustic solution now. So it's actually kind of helping you. If there's any plastic involved in there, then it's going to pull the hydrogen out of that. And so, it can be, it's telling me it can be a blessing to have the varnish on it and dip it into the hot caustic just to add the chemicals that are already bonded with the copper. So, So, as far as not dipping it, then I think you will have difficulties nano coating it if you use the ash water method and the spray caustic method. Yeah.
I haven't had any results yet for a reduction, as we've been talking about reduction in electricity, and I haven't got any results yet from that. And I haven't conditioned my unit either very much. I wasn't putting much load on, but you're saying to put load onto the unit. Speed up conditioning.
Right now, the load, the testing of the loads that we put on there and the gradual, like with the Kesh Foundation, the original method was creating heat, okay, for the capacitors. And what they didn't want was to add too much load all at once and cause those capacitors to catch fire, because these are being man-made at home with just regular items, and we don't want people to burn their houses down. And you know, the biggest thing recently is that smoke was being smelt from one person's unit, you know, and that's what we need here, is people to report these kinds of things so that we can protect other people from, you know, running into this kind of a problem. And so I have been working diligently in my mind, and I have a couple people now that are trying out a new capacitor mixture, okay, utilizing charcoal instead of GaNs, okay? And the idea was to use activated charcoal, or like charcoal briquettes, things like that, the black charcoal from wood, crush it up into a fine powder, and then add some powdered caustic to that, okay, and mix it up into a paste. The powdered lye caustic, okay, attracts moisture all the time. It's gravitational to water, okay? So if you put the powder in there and you mix it up, it will constantly stay damp all the time, okay? And so now you've just created an activated charcoal caustic paste that won't ever dry out. Now, to add amps to that, you have to mix sugar with the salt, okay? The caustic soda is salt, right? And so we want to add sugar and another type of sugar, which is lemon juice, okay? So you want granulated sugar, a little bit mixed in there, and you want a little, like 2 or 3 drops of lemon juice mixed into this paste, okay? And you mix it up, and then you put that on top of your paper, okay? But you got to use heat-resistant paper, like the baking paper. It has to be heat-resistant, okay? Or burn-resistant. Otherwise, you get the smoldering or the smell of burning paper. If the units are just dipped in ash water, then it's likely that you're going to have some spots where maybe the ash water was rubbed off on the surface of the copper wire, okay? And that causes heat. So if you use your caustic, the hot caustic or the spray caustic, and you can see the black nano coating on it, you are less likely to have any kind of a heat problem or issue whatsoever, okay? So I need to clarify, I think, that these units are the ones that have been dipped in ash water, right, might be the only units that are going to be affected by the overheating of the capacitors, okay? Because when you have the black nano coating on your devices, that's your insulator, that's your heat. There should be 0 heat when you have the black nano coating on it, okay? There should be 0 heat whatsoever, because it's a superconductor. All of the heat has been transferred away.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I've got some more work to do on that. One other thing was, can you pick up the growth of the plasma on the existing wire in your house? Can you detect it? Should you be able, if the unit is working, should you be able to detect the growing plasma along the cable in the wall?
You should, yes. Okay. You should be able to. I don't have my meter in here, but you know the alternating current handheld meter, okay, that beeps when you move it close to the energy fields.
Yes, yes.
You should be able to, you know, if your unit is next to the wall, okay,
Yeah.
and the plasma field is actually passing through, the core of the plasma field is passing through the wall, then the plasma will actually cover and coat everything within the walls, all right? You can go around and touch that meter anywhere on the walls and probably about an inch or so away from the wall and pick up that plasma field, okay?
But especially it should grow along the copper wire in the wall.
Yes. Okay, that's the nano coating. I'm talking about the plasma
So
itself.
you're talking about the plasma, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
plasma.
The plasma is going to engulf
Isn't
your
the-
home. Hold on. The
Yeah.
plasma is going to engulf your home before the wires are ever nano coated.
Really? All right.
Okay.
All right.
It's just like if you were to hold the meter in your left hand, you know, for instance, and then take your pointer finger and touch your unit. Okay. Your meter is going to go beep in your hand, right? Okay, because
Right.
the plasma is passing through your body. Your body isn't nano-coated, okay? But the plasma is transferring the energy through your skin and over the surface of your skin using your auric field to turn that little light on, all right? And so when you put your unit next to the wall, you're actually using the wall kind of like your skin, all right? Some people have been touching their desks and their shelves next to them and things like that, and you can see the meter light up. Well, your walls should do the same thing wherever your unit is on the inside, okay? And then as that circuit is completely nano-coated, it will move to the next one, okay? And it'll start to nano-coat that other room, all right? And then you'll be able to follow that plasma, okay? And then as you increase it with your mental capacity, telling it what to do, okay? It needs guidance, okay? And if you tell it to nano coat the entire home all at once, okay, it'll pick up every circuit that you have that's on your breaker box, okay? It'll complete it, and then it'll start to nano coat it because you've given it direction, you've given it purpose, okay? And so you should, okay, if you have a place where you can install in your wiring, okay, little splices where a bare piece of copper wire could be seen, all right? And it'll just look like a fuse, all right? But it's just regular copper wire. And if you put it inside of a glass case, you can actually see the progression of your nano coating throughout your home, okay? But that requires a lot of work, all right, to put in a piece of wire so you could watch it nano coat, all right? But for people that want to do the visualization of this, okay, if you literally made a fuse of copper wire, a solid piece of copper wire, plastic tubing around it, for instance, okay, you can see the clear, see through the plastic tubing, right? And then connect those two ends of the copper wire back into your wall circuit, okay? And as the current nano coats that copper wire, you will be able to see it engulf the opening, okay, through the plastic. The only thing you're doing is just taking the insulation and making it transparent.
Yeah.
Okay? That's all we're doing with it, okay? And you'll be able to see it travel along that copper wire,
Yeah.
right? And that's how you can actually have a demonstration of one looking like that. Otherwise, you got to have people go in there and scrape off the insulation off of their hot wire, which is not a good idea, you know?
No.
Yes.
This is Knapp. Would you clarify what type of detector you're using to pick up the voltage level that you're indicating the plasma location?
I don't have it with me. It's actually in the house right now, but it's just a little meter that when you put it next to a hot wire in a house, okay, without actually having to expose the wire, it'll beep, okay? But you've got to almost literally touch the wall or the wire with that meter in order for the light to turn on or for the beep to happen. But we are, with these energy fields that we're creating here, okay, that meter is picking up that pulse of electricity, okay, 3 feet away from these units, okay? And you can also go outside with that meter, and if you're like anywhere near power lines, okay, it'll pick up the electromagnetic fields that are being pulsed down or pushed out from those wires. All right, so that's the only comparison or the only way that I can see how big my energy fields are is by just taking that meter and going beep, beep, you know, beep, 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 and just trying to shape the bubble, you know, by the beeps and the light. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. That's very important because now you're describing a way that you can use something that people can identify with this little basically a wireless voltage indicator to be able to describe the shape of your plasma. That's very important.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's the only way I've been able to identify, besides using my own personal feeling, my own emotion of identifying. Okay, I'm inside of this, and I can feel that. So, okay, this is right about it. Well, that doesn't work for people. You know.
Consider yourself fortunate to be one of those people that has that level of sensitivity.
Well, right now in this day and time, it feels like a curse because I can't even go to Walmart. I live right here next to this really busy road, and this whole 4th of July weekend here, you know, traffic has increased. Okay, so the number of cars are you know, has increased. The number of emotions have increased. Everybody's anxious and, you know, excited and either happy or upset. You know, there's like extremes of emotions, and I feel every single one of them when they drive by. It's like I get slapped in the face, and it's like with you know, pop, 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 cards all the time. And I'm, you know, learning to deal with them, you know, and to identify which ones are actually my own emotions and which ones are somebody else's. That's been the hardest thing out of all of this. And you know, when you learn and identify that you're picking up on somebody else's emotions, you're like, hey, that's not me. Who is that? And why am I feeling that? And those are the questions that you ask yourself. And you start paying attention to your surroundings. And that's where the gift comes in, is that you start noticing details, you know? And like, for instance, with Yosan and a couple of other people, I forget to share why I do certain things, you know, because I do them automatically now. And, you know, to me, it's an ingrained process, muscle memory. And so, you know, I may not figure out how to describe it, or, you know, or I may not even think that I need to describe it. And it's like a key freaking question that needs to be asked. And that's why I'm always asking people to ask questions, because I feel like I'm an ATM for information here, connected to source. And if your intention is true to, you know, helping yourself and to help humanity, then, you know, you'll get the answer that you're looking for. And I just need to help people.
Thank you for the discussion. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike, for choosing to be with us. It's so wonderful to hear what you got to say, and your wisdom and your guidance is so much valued, isn't he, Nep? Right. I would like to welcome Dora. Hi, Dora, and Jose, and I think, Mike, we'll give you a little rest while we get Tricia to talk, Tricia Jores, to talk about Juarez. I didn't pronounce your name correctly, Tricia, sorry. Tricia, would you please unmute yourself, and you would like to show a little introduction on the Hedica Trinity spiral of the copper wire. Tricia?
Yeah, this is it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Don't know if you could see very well.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
It's a sacred symbol from a Celtic symbol at one of the mounds in Ireland. And then this is the harmony ring, which is the technology that I work with quite a bit. And actually my guy he actually makes them, but I assist with the one who's researching the most.
Tricia, would you pull back a bit? We want to see your whole face.
Yeah, I just wanted you guys to see the tensor ring, and that's just one of the sizes. We make many different sizes. And hello, everybody! It's very exciting to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is exciting for me, and I'm happy to share. I just have a lot of things, some notes that I wanted to share with you all for collaborations mainly, because my focus has been on healing centers for 20 years or so, and in the Ayurveda, which also taps into quantum physics. You know, when you open an Ayurvedic beauty wellness book, the the first page talks about quantum physics. So, and it is of the human and of the universe and in relation to all things. Ayurveda meaning science of life and longevity. So I wanted to share with you, I'm not sure if you all were aware of the tensor ring technology, which is shared nowadays with from Brian Brusco and Twisted Sage. And here's one of his rings that I just received from him from a conference that I was volunteering at. And this one is actually made for, these measurements are sacred cubit measurements, originally coming from Egyptian times, at least from their knowledge or from my remembrance. And then also this one I think is an elaboration of his. For the harmony ring is for the heart energy. And they make other ones that are for healing the auras or the ethers, the subtle energies, the emotions. They make ones that are more so for physical and for physical injury combinations. And I have been used, there's also another coil. And when I was, this is his healing coil. And so when I was studying Kesha's technology, I said, well, this is similar, you know, it's a coil and it's copper. And so, you know, I just started relating that towards what I knew of this. And he makes also a fairy wand, which is like a healing pen in my view that you can wear. He makes the infinity, I believe, in the twisted type of copper. This symbol here is a symbol for the earth, and the Triskelion is for water. It's a symbol for water. So this is helpful to clear the waters in your body. And one of the big concepts is to, you know, clear your waters in your body, and you help to clarify yourself and to have clear channels for engaging back to the ethers and to the spirit and to, you know, the realms that we've been disconnected from for quite a while. And anyways, I just wanted to share some of his things. I don't know if anybody has seen his work, but he goes to conferences and he has a chamber that's full of these huge rings that will go in, because there's different sizes of these rings. And you can walk into this chamber that he's created with the flower of life is at the top, and with these rings and crystals in it, and it's amazing. It's an amazing experience, and he does this for free. So he goes to the different conferences, and you step in, and there's a meditation involved, and it's his work is just pure art. It's incredible. And so I just wanted to have you guys maybe collaborate. I could possibly, yes, she's putting up the pictures of the elementals. The other elementals, which I have made, which I wanted to do for circlets. I kept wanting to make a circlet of some sort, but I'm a new artist, per se. So my creativity levels need the inspiration. They usually need an environment. So it's not always that I get to create these things, but circlet was one of them. There's other elementals like the fire elemental, which Crystal does see. It seems like she has a picture of the different elementals. And like the fire will help to clear energies as well. So there's a lot of information on the elements of these copper things. And when you put this underneath a camera that can read the energies, it will show the energies coming off of it. So it's obviously an ancient technology, right? And so they've been utilizing this with the tensor rings and with the elements. But the interesting thing with the elementals, so we got the circle that's earth, the Triskelion or the Hetica, which is water, and then they've got the fire, which is like a three-pronged trident almost, and then there's three different air elements. So there's like air, ether, and forget the other one. It is on the.
Tricia, do you want me to show the pictures that you've given me?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let me discuss it, okay? So
I don't know how to do pictures.
I'm going to pull it up now while you speak, okay? So okay. I'm your assistant.
Okay, great.
Hi,
I'm technologically challenged, so that.
There you go. Do you see on the screen?
Yeah, this is This is Mike. I was just wondering, would you like would you like to know how to take your devices to the next level?
Yeah, I would love to figure out how to do an elemental circlet, and then also I had another couple things to share with you guys for some devices like chimes and
Well, let me say this,
bells.
okay? You know how you just described that when you take a picture with like the Carillion camera or something like that, you can see the energy that's oozing off of these devices, right?
Right.
Like this
Okay.
one.
Yes, like that picture right there on the right. Okay.
Specialized carbon.
What we're doing now is we're taking that energy that's being expressed outwards like that. Okay. And when I refer to nanocoating or to a caustic of some sort, a caustic bath, all right, I'm referring to an eggshell that'll go around all of that copper wire and hold that energy inside of it and organize it in the very specific shapes that you're making. Okay. And so if you follow Bouchard's, channelings and stuff like that, and whenever he's being referenced to an energy device, okay, and they show him a device that is made of copper, okay, they're always saying, he is always saying that your device is not insulated. Okay, it needs to be insulated. Well, what he's referring to is it needs to be nano-coated. Okay, and so all of your devices, if they are nano-coated with that caustic right there, they become a completely different entity. And what I teach is all of those devices that you're seeing in spirals, okay, you are actually recreating the structure of light. And that is what I teach. And so if you're looking for some clarification on how the energy might flow and how to recreate it, okay, and all that kind of stuff, you could, go and watch some of my videos or read my wall posts about them. You did very, very beautiful work, and the tensor rings are a double helix circle that is in infinity. It's true infinity, okay? And so that's what the reference is right there. When I say infinity, infinity is a true circle, which is the tensor rings. So does that help?
Okay, great. Yeah, I haven't really gone into the nano coating and that sort of thing because of not being much of an engineer of sorts. I have my guy do a lot of the works when he gets a chance. But I also wanted to show you another thing that I had some ideas to do with. Let me get my video. So yeah, I need to figure out to check out the nano coating. I'm interested in the ash and all that sort of thing. And I do have a bigger circle out on a water wheel that I've made with stones and crystals out by my well cistern water. And so another gentleman named Randy Hatton, who does Vibrant Vital Waters, which is a technology for structuring, which he also uses the ring, would really like to bring them in here because they are the engineers and the creators of these technologies, which they're two of the main things that I wanted to bring into the healing centers that I've designed and coordinated for the last 20 years. And
okay. Do you bend the wires?
Do I bend them?
Yeah. Do you make the shapes?
My guy is the one making the shapes. I do the elementals, but he's been doing the tensor rings twisting.
Okay. The tensor rings are not really what I'm interested in. Those are the elementals that you're making. Okay, you make those, right? Physically with your hands.
Uh-huh.
That makes you an engineer.
Okay, sure. He's got a background of it, so I have him help me with all these.
Well,
right.
I'm trying to give you some confidence here. Okay, the tensor rings are not as difficult as you might believe them to be. All right, what you're doing with your work is far more complicated than what's in those tensor rings. Okay,
yeah,
it's far more advanced. It's kind of like going backwards because the tensor ring is the very beginning. It's the very start of it. Okay, and then when you start getting into the elementals, you're combining more than one tensor ring, all right, into the shapes that you're creating. So it's kind of like a step backwards, if you see what I mean. on
That's
that.
interesting. Sure.
So,
Thanks for sharing that.
giving yourself a little bit more credit on it, you can design all of it because it comes naturally to you. All right. And now, if you when you learn the nano coating process, okay, if you can make a box of brownies, okay, and follow the directions on that, it is literally that simple, okay, because you're just adding 2 powders and some boiling water to that very carefully, and you're letting it settle. And then you're dipping wire into that. And that's all it is. This doesn't require anybody else's help, and an individual can do this. But if you learn, okay, then you can teach those around you, and their creations come to life. Because when you use the nano coating, it's like literally opening a microphone to the universe. All right? Every atom is listening to the heartbeat, to your voice, to the love around you. It's listening and it's absorbing all of that energy. Okay? So you can call it a wishing stone if you want to, because if you make a wish on it, your wish will come true as long as your intent is pure.
Sure.
You see? And that's where we're moving into in the technology in today's that's being released out there, is that you guys have been making these beautiful designs and all this jewelry. Now it's time to make them all come to life. Okay?
Yeah,
And, you know, and go from there.
I can tell you a story that we did make one come to life. And it was in a hospital. I stayed in a hospital with my brother for a month, and I had my tensor rings and lots of different healing tools. But I did make an elemental mobile with some stones and maybe more select shells. And so anyways, when I would bring these things into the room, and since he was there for a month, and I used sound healing and lots of different tools that I had, everything I could think of, because he was in a really, close to death and went through 20 different surgeries type of thing. So, he should have died type of thing. So anyways, they would feel the energy in that room, all the nurses that would come in. They wanted to be in there, and they also, and he had some miraculous healings for sure, and I had used these rings and different tools for for animal healings, and with animals a lot, and they have healed so fast. It's been really amazing to watch. But then also, I guess the hospitals were saying that they were mentioning bringing in copper bedding, like instead of the rails being plastic or whatnot, or whatever metals it was copper rails to help maybe the cleanliness in the hospital, and so they're catching on, and people were interested, but because I had these rings all over him, and so I know it's been exposed. I know it's getting out there. I know people are feeling it, because people who didn't know about any of this, they would say, "Wow, I want one of these," type of thing with the elementals. So I can say thank you for reassuring me on that. I didn't understand that step, but yes, Slim Sperling was the one that they were doing it with, and he makes huge creations, spinning universe type creations, and they put crystals and all kinds of things. So it's very much involved.
That's exactly what Teresa and I were saying. Slim Sperling's devices. Yeah, that's where it originated.
That would work.
That was one of the coils. And so I had used the coil some, but I know that it's different with the healing pin, because this is a closed end. The healing pins are open end. Am I right? They have open end.
Yeah, the healing pins are open ended. That right there is just a big circle. If you were to stretch that all out, okay, that coil that you just showed, the ends are just connected together, and it's just one big circle that's arranged differently.
So is it working like a toroidal field then? Is that the concept?
Absolutely. Okay. But what you're doing in that in the copper coil that you've got that's not nano coated, okay, most likely that was melted that way, formed that way, okay, not necessarily bent in place. When we make
this
coils,
was bent.
It was hand bent, things like that. Okay. When it's hand bent, the atoms start rubbing against each other, and it creates the heat. Okay. When it creates the heat down there at the atomic level, it forces carbon to rise to the surface, and that causes a light layer of nano coating. All right. That nano coating, you can't see it, but you can rub it off pretty easily. So if you've been handling it, okay, the energy device will kind of lose its luster, kind of, you know, lose a little bit of energy because you're rubbing off that nano coating. Now, that happens automatic whenever you bend copper wire. The reason why they may be using copper for hospitals and on bed rails and stuff is because copper and oxygen, when they come together, create copper oxide, which is green. Okay, it's the same color as the Statue of Liberty. It's also that teal green color for some of the GANs that's being created, if you're aware of that kind of stuff. But it's a natural antibacterial. Okay, and so the interaction of the copper oxide with the germs, you know, it'll obviously kill the germs. That's why they might be using copper. But it also has the natural healing effects because the body absorbs that copper oxide as it's, you know, being rubbed off of the copper and absorbs it, and it turns, you know, it's a natural antibacterial for the body. Okay, and so it works both ways, one for the air and one for the body.
Yeah, wow, that's great.
What-
Yeah,
what-
and then in the Ayurveda, copper is grounding and for the human being, and it's really great for elderly. And drinking out of copper is you know, a grounding tool for humanity.
Yeah, and if you were to, you know, if people know how to do it, and you make a grounding pad or a grounding blanket for, you know, like the elderly and sick people, the constant connection to Earth will help reset their inner energy plasma levels and help get them better. The Earth kind of, it acts like a vacuum and sucks the negative energy from the body, and then the body is forced to replace it with good, healthy stuff. So I recommend grounding blankets as well.
Yeah, wow, sounds good. And then, have you guys heard of Damanor, which is a town, a community village in Italy?
Yeah, it's underground, built underground in Italy. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
they use a lot of copper technology, a lot of that.
Hollow Earth. Actually, he remembered his past lives in Hollow Earth, and he actually built those beautiful artistic design structures based on his cellular memories of his lifetime in Hollow Earth.
Yeah, and so they're using that technology for sure with the wire wrappings and that sort of thing. So I was wondering, yeah, if you had any connections to them to connect us to them as well as far as collaborations. And then Fernando Vasa, I would think he would be a great person to bring on and speak because he has his crystal sound and light technologies. And I work with him on the design of the Haia homes, which are, you know, all of these places need a free energy source. And definitely centering it from the heart is, you know, sounds like where we need to come from, of course, but where a lot of people are heading to. I had created a water temple sanctuary, and then of course I spoke to James Rink about his amazing, you know, amusement parks for healing amusement parks. And what I was doing was painting water bottles, and I'd heard you guys different symbols on water to enhance, you know, to energize them. And I'd heard you guys speak about the nano coating paint, maybe to paint the nano coating. So that would be great to hear more about that. Maybe I could start incorporating the nano coating on the bottles as well as a paint. And maybe I'll go through just a few more notes so that other people can move on that I wanted to share with you guys. The 21st Century Superhuman with Carrie Kiristar. She does a lot of interviews, and especially about the cash. And they also have a lot of these people have websites where they can share the information, where they put up your information, like say for the True Vision of Peace crystal. Peter Coyote from the Coyote Medicine Show, who gets a lot of, you know, exposure because he's got to go on every day. He's got a website where you can share this information. And I will also, let's see, I think there was another subject that came up for Oh, the protein. You guys, I heard you guys speaking about changing proteins, and one of the good protein sources, instead of eating meat, you know, moving to a plant-based protein, I heard of a Mount Shasta company that is phenomenal, that has some great protein sources, called Power of Organics. I had just had their chocolates that are amazing. It's like Harry Potter chocolates. It's so good. So I have a feeling they're going to be, you know, pumped full of great energy, being from Mount Shasta. Yeah, so I wanted to share that source with you, called Power of Organics, I believe, or Power Organics from Mount Shasta. And then the healing centers, Crystal, on the healing centers, people were speaking of the grid lines and that sort of thing. Had been coming to me a lot was to do a lot of these centers, and of course the technology, at the castles, at the ancient sites, at the cathedrals and sacred wells, because they're obviously using the grid meridians and Gaia's meridians. So I thought that would be a great place for healing centers, and obviously these places need to be repurposed, I would think. So I thought that would be a great idea for these centers. And I'm sure most of you have heard of Dan Winters for Therify. He's also doing a sound healing, and he might be a great speaker to come in and collaborate with everyone here. He's amazing. He's out of France right now, but he speaks English, and definitely he would be amazing to bring in and collaborate with all of you. And the last thing was another thing with the copper. I've heard people talking about using copper in the hydroponics, so I thought that would be, if you know anybody who does hydroponics in the copper, that would probably be a great collaboration. And my latest creation thought was to bring in these geodes. I just recently bought a bunch of these geodes from a great place near me in Arizona that sells a lot of geodes and gems. We have the gem show out here in Tucson, so we get a lot of cheap things. And I thought this would be great for mobiles and maybe the copper technology with the elementals. And then obviously I need to work on the nano coating, and then any other things that we can bring into a technology source would be great to know. But I do know that people were feeling that these elemental mobiles, they felt them right away, even though they didn't know of any of these things, and from several sources, and people wanted them. But I don't produce these. I just produce these things and I give them away. I do a lot of this sort of thing. So but I know that they're potent and powerful, so I'm grateful to collaborate and be here and share these things. And if anybody wants to use any of these ideas, please do. And I just don't always take the time. I'm sure if we were all together, we'd be motivated a little more and inspired to keep doing these things on a regular basis, especially if it was a job-wise. But yeah, feel free to use any of these ideas, the circlets. And one other thing, Crystal, on your FESIG emblem, where the lady has the circlet on her head, I do a lot of stone circles of sacred geometry and symbols out here. I'm out in the middle of the desert, and what the symbol is a lot like the symbol that's on the circlet. It's an ancient. I got it off of an ancient Sumerian. One of the free energy supposed devices, but I built it. I made a stone, like a stone circle, but it's the symbol of that.
Well,
and it wasn't.
We'd like to see that in the next meeting. You can show those.
I'll try to take a picture, but I can't unless I had a drone, because it's fairly large, and it's just these stone circles are on the ground that I make here.
Yeah, I have to remember to show my headband as well. I may not come here for the next meeting on the 20th of July because it's such a hassle. And every time you guys have to wait for me to get on, it's so difficult to put everything together to get a show going here. So I'll do it in West London. Would you come to West London, Teresa?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Oh, I would like to say thank you, Sister Tricia. Thank you so much for sharing and for giving your talk and presentation on this. And I think we will have to move on now. We're back to Mike and then round the table, and then we adjourn the meeting to the 20th of July because time's marching on. The musicians here are going to start drumming their drums. So we got to be rushing along. And Tricia, it's lovely having you here. Stay on until we finish the meeting. Okay, back to you, Mike. And anybody who needs to ask Mike any questions, Mike, you have anything that is so important that you need to share with us before we round up?
Well, you're asking me if I, have anything important to say, and I believe everything you say is important, so it's kind of a loaded question. But right now, I think I'm just creating something new here. I'm building it as we're talking. So I think right now we need to see on the spiritual and emotional side of things, okay, that right now your worst fears are going to manifest themselves. So if you're not at peace with yourself, then you're going to run into a sudden urge of panic. And for a lot of people out there that are following these movements, okay, of different groups out there, you'll notice that there's kind of an uptake in energy that's out there, and suddenly, somebody's the devil, and somebody's been microchipped, and somebody is this, and somebody is that, and it seems to be coming from, only a few people, okay? You got to have patience for those people. Okay? This is part of their process, and they're dealing with their own emotions. And, don't write them off, and don't be angry with them, and don't judge them. Just know that this is their process, and this is their monster, their demon, right? And everybody is going through that kind of a shift right now. And it's not that you don't care, okay? It's just that it's not very efficient thinking. And your brain is becoming more efficient. And understanding that your brain is becoming more efficient makes it seem like you are a very uncaring person in some instances, okay? So you literally have to force yourself to express emotion, okay, which means that you have to pick and choose the emotions that you want to shower onto people. And that's part of being enlightened. And when you choose to be happy with people and share happy emotions and try to look at the positive aspects of everything, okay, you're allowed to have your bad days, but you can have those bad days and turn them into a positive thought. And when you change it to a positive thought, all of the chemicals in your body change to a different polarity. And so just by changing that thought, you've changed the physical composition of your body, and therefore it goes from a destructive phase of taking away energy to a feeding phase of giving your body energy. And right now we're learning that because our bodies are going through these physical changes right now. Some of you might be experiencing a loss of appetite, okay? With or without a MagGrav unit, okay? Or an IQ or using plasma or whatever. It's because you're becoming consciously aware of what you're eating. You know that, 90% of the food that's being provided to you has some sort of a poison in it. So you are subconsciously rejecting that poison and cleansing your own system. So it's happening automatically. It's not something that you have to be conscious of, because the only thing you have to be conscious of right now is being kind and being happy, doing something that you enjoy. If going to work is something you absolutely despise, then I would recommend everybody stay home for 7 freaking days, because those businessmen, those are the lobbyists for your government, okay? And when you shut down the workers and the workers strike all together as one, those businesses will suffer so much money loss that they will do whatever it takes to make the people happy, which includes better customer service, better product quality, better wages, better environments for the workers, Okay? That's where all that kind of stuff stems from. But you guys got to make that kind of decision on what you want to do and what's happy for you. What's going to make you happy? You know, for me, I like to go on walks with my wife, and we'll go out and pick berries or go try to find some pictures of flowers or something like that. Sure, it sounds very much so like a hippie life. I enjoy it quite so, you know, because it's my choice. That's what I choose to look at rather than looking at the TV or Facebook or bad news or whatever. So, you know, it just happens to be prettier that way. But dealing with your emotions and bringing them to the forefront and being able to say, okay, this will be over in a couple of days. All right. It's not going to take you months to figure this out. It's okay if I need to sit back in my little corner, in my own little cocoon, and think about this. Because when I'm sitting back there in my own little corner, in my own little cocoon, and I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to my higher self, whether I feel like I am or not, and I feel like I'm alone in that corner. That voice that's telling you what you should do and what you can do and what you want to do are three different voices of your higher self. Okay? And the one that's speaking the truth, the one that doesn't hurt when you think about it, okay? The one that makes you feel good when you think about what that voice is telling you, that's your true higher self. That's the one that's in control. And what you're doing is tuning in your frequency to your higher self so that you're not picking up all these other scattered little bands of energy that we call our other personalities and fear and doubt and everything else. And we're just tuning it in, and you're learning to listen to yourselves. And when you come out of that corner, you're no longer in a cocoon. You're no longer a caterpillar. You come out as a butterfly, as a new being, completely restructured and rebuilt from the inside out. And that's where we're going with humanity right now, is that we're being born like a butterfly is. And we got to dry out our wings, and we got to stretch them out. We got to, do all of those things, the same processes, okay? But it's all metaphorically speaking, okay? I'm trying to give you a visual of what your soul is doing right now as you connect back with it, okay? You're stretching your wings. You're getting to know what your superpowers are, okay? Because you've been denied that information for so long. The other day we had a family friend that came over, okay? And I made the announcement a few weeks ago that my son's best friend and a friend of ours had killed herself, okay? And within the last 5 days, she has come over to our home, and we were able to explain to her the perception of death, okay, and telepathic communications and things like that. And she showed up at our door crying and left with a smile and laughing. So I know that we profoundly changed this woman's life, in the concept or the idea, okay? And it was one little statement that made her light bulb turn off, okay? If you've ever sat down or you've lost a loved one, okay, and you hear their voice in your head, okay, your brain is only capable of creating one voice in your brain, okay? One voice with your voice inflection, okay? All other voices are recorded and or received from elsewhere, okay, as memories, okay? So they belong to somebody else. And when you access a memory of somebody and you can hear their voice, okay, you're actually creating a telepathic communication between either that memory, okay, and that memory is usually associated with a picture, okay, or a scene. And then you get another message where it's there is no picture, but you can hear their voice, okay? Like, oh, what would so-and-so say if, we were in this position? They really like that. And then all of a sudden in your voice, you can hear their voice saying, yeah, I'd really mess with you if you'd done it that way. You'd never live that down, okay? And you kind of give yourself a little chuckle and everything else because that's a joke between you and your friend before they passed. Well, that was their higher self talking directly to your brain, okay? And when you hear their voice, that's a direct telepathic communication to them because they're not ever dead, okay? Death is only the loss of the physical body that you can see them in, okay? If you were to take your nano-coated devices and cut the wire, the soul will leave the inside of that wire. The plasma will leave that wire. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It just dissipates. And it joins with the rest of the energy. Okay? Well, your body is that nano-coated wire. And when you die, it's kind of like somebody cut that wire and your energy drained out. And you go back to source. Okay? Well, that energy is its own entity. Okay? The body is just holding it in place. You see? And that's where we try to misunderstand death and loss. So just remember, if you're confused of whose voice you're hearing, go get into one of your favorite books, okay? And the narrator that's in your voice or in your head that's reading the book to you, that is your higher self, okay? That's the one that's expressing all of the emotions when you're reading the words, the voice inflection, the raising of your own heart rate, the breathing, the sweating when you get into a nervous part of the book, those kinds of things, because that higher self is connected to the emotional side of you, okay? The sweating, the anxiety, the raised heart rate, those are all buttons that have been pushed on your emotional scale to cause the physical reaction in you, okay? And so that narrator voice is the one that's sitting at that control box going, yep, you need to be nervous right now. Push that button. And make the sweat go. Okay? That's the way this is kind of working with our bodies right now. And when you read a book and that narrator is in control, well, remember, you can tell that narrator what the hell to say. And that's kind of the point here, is that we need you to tell that narrator what to say and not necessarily recite what's in the book, okay? Write your own book and your own opinion and bring in your own perspective of things, and that's sharing it. And when you do that, you open up the doors with so many other people. And I need to shut up now. My head is on fire. It won't let me stop talking. Oh. So what else did you need? I kind of wanted to, I feel like you have a question regarding the business aspects of things, of how to get something accomplished for FESIG to help get it off the ground or something.
Yes, Mike. We are also running out of time because we have been using this facility for 2 hours, 45 minutes now. Yeah, but the recordings are 2.5 hours. So yeah, if you have some pointers and guidance there from above, we are all ears, Mike, in a nutshell.
Well, the biggest guidance that I can give you and the most effective is to follow yourself, follow your heart, okay? If somebody comes up and asks you for anything, that first reaction that you're going to get, you're either going to get a shocked feeling or you're going to get an excited feeling. If you get any kind of feeling whatsoever, and it's not a neutral feeling, then there are something attached to that proposal, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you, Mike.
So anytime that you feel any emotion towards any kind of money changing hands or the intent of somebody else, if you're feeling super excited, then keep in mind that somebody is playing on that emotion of being super excited and hoping that you'll skip over something else. Okay?
I've been through that for years for the funding, the Escalavian Sanctuary. Yes.
Well, we all realize that we've done this before, all right?
Yes.
But part of becoming enlightened is becoming aware of why we actually did it in the first place, okay? Yeah. And then you understand the results of the previous time that you did it, right? And now that you know how or why it's happening, you can actually manipulate the outcome of that.
All right.
Okay? You can pick and choose what pieces you want in there, and then that decides your outcome. And that's how you apply plasma and polarities to everyday living situations, you know?
Right.
So, but when it comes to dealing with people's egos, okay, you automatically feel that, you know, when money comes in, it's going to have an ego attached to it, some sort of ownership.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. I've experienced that time and again. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's what happens there, is that they feel like they own something. Well,
Yeah.
they can own whatever they want out of it, but they cannot own the technology, okay? If they want to own the buildings, okay, then they can own the buildings, but they can't own the technology that is powering the buildings,
Exactly.
you know, because it's like owning slaves,
My
okay?
God.
And
Thank you.
you know, we don't want it to repeat things, you know, history again. We're trying to break the cycle of insanity, as we call it, and you know, move on with life and with creation. So
You are so amazing, Mike. I mean, you read my mind. You read what I'm going through, and you just speak it out like that. And I really appreciate you. Thank you, Mike.
you're welcome. And just remember, the light's behind you. Okay, you just need to make a decision. Okay,
Yes.
we're here. We're guiding. We're helping. All right.
Yes.
Our job is to help you guys start communities that are all light-based and love-based.
Mhm.
And you know, just remember, any decision is a good decision right now. Okay.
Yes. Certainly. Yeah.
There's no such thing as a wrong decision in your lives. You just have to decide to move forward in any direction.
And we all connected as one. If FESIG gets some funding, you two, every one of us in the plasma development community will get to come together in the community and expand and develop and help humanity through the ascension process. That's for sure.
And I also wanted to kind of throw this out here for your viewers, because a lot of them are they're already involved in plasma. Okay.
Yeah.
If you can see this, all right,
Wow.
it's just plastic tubing,
Mm-hmm.
and I've used brass, the pull chain,
Wow.
okay, that goes through that,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And if you're following the work that I was doing with the double helix quad core,
Yes.
okay, you understand that the two spheres are together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, each one of these is a sphere connected by one single wire, connected by a sphere, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I want you guys to look at this and see what you can do with one of these that's nano-coated, maybe with hot caustic, do whatever you want with it, okay? But I'm trying to inspire you guys to make some more devices. And remember, spirals are everything, and you might be able to even recreate a bracelet or an armband or something that will regenerate skin tissue based off of this kind of current that this can create, okay? This was just something that I created while I was sitting here with you guys, and I'm going to put it to use. I'm going to have 3 of these longer ones that I'm going to make into different units and treat it like the IQ, or treat it like the Magrev units, okay? Just use all of this and treat it as the, you know, all of this coil right here, if it was all the same, okay? Treat that as one Maggrav stacker unit, okay? Or one Infinity IQ device, or one Q device. Put this coil in its place, okay? And you're going to create an induction field inside of there with your nano coating that you'll be able to utilize the vortex energy out of, okay? So it's just something that you guys can play with and utilize. The plastic tubing will keep you from, you know, accidentally scraping off any nano coating, and it gives it a barrier for the plasma to flow so you don't interrupt it anymore. Something good for you, for the world here.
Does it need to be brass? Can it be?
No, I just used brass because that's what they had. They have a copper pull chain as well. And they have a stainless steel, and they've got nickel, and they've got all sorts of pull chains that you can utilize. But brass has copper and zinc in it, as well as I think some iron. I'm not sure. Okay, so it's got a mixture of metals in there that will create a potential difference when you nano coat it, and that's why we like brass sometimes.
Mike, I'm going to point everyone to your workshops, your YouTube recordings and all that. I just want everyone to go into the, to look at the website, FESIG website, and you will see the links I have placed, or I'll do a bit of screen share here, the links that I have placed on the site, okay? So you can get to Mike's, to Mike's links. Here you see Mike being described here, his short little bio, and then click here to read more about Mike, which Dora has written. I call Mike the prophet scientist because he brings forth information from way, way, way above, and he's so connected to his higher self and creator. And then Mike's Facebook link is there, Infinity Project's Facebook link, and then you get to the YouTube channel as well to learn all those things that Mike's teaching, so you can then progress with your development on the plasma technology. And also we have, of course, this site has been updated and the meetings will be called there every now and again. Please look out if you don't receive an email from me. This is what we've been doing in Spain and France, and built the Q6 and had it powered up. And very soon I'll put more pictures on Facebook. Okay. So I had a little report as well on the activities in the site. So just help yourself there. And I also want to show Mike's Facebook. Okay. There you go. This is Mike's Facebook link, and he's got a lot to share. It's like channeled from his higher self, messages that are so important, that reminds us what to do and how to get things done in balance and all that for the awakening process. Thank you so much, Mike, for everything that you do here.
Well, thank you for believing, because you know, if it wasn't for people who believe, then this wouldn't be able to happen. You know, it wouldn't be able to be shared around the world. You know, we haven't been beat down so badly that we can't, you know, help ourselves anymore. The materials are here. We just need to reuse the materials in a different manner, and think of think of things differently. And that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate it. And I'm glad that you value my opinion and my higher self and what we do here. It's a mission. And all I'm doing here is feeding this this ball and chain through the tubing. I'm not doing anything real extravagant here. The weight of the chain pulls the wire all the way through, and so I don't have to worry about it. I just gotta make sure it comes out the end, and when it does, it becomes flexible. But I mean, that's all we're doing here. I'm gonna cut it off, and I'm gonna nano coat it, and use these. Use this as the coils. Okay, this ball and chain brass here is going to be replacing the coils itself. If that makes sense. But then I just make little rings. Okay. Whatever length I've got, it didn't matter. I didn't measure it. I didn't, you know, it wasn't 2 feet. It wasn't 10 feet. But now it's like this. Now this can all be taped together or hot glued together, so it's nice and even and flat. Okay. But now you've got an in and an out, right? And so now you can attach your capacitors or whatever else you need to this. Okay. And now you've got an in and an out. Well, I've got 3 of them. Okay, 1 ring with an in and out, 2, and 3. Okay, these are my stacker units, as you would call it. Okay, just another way that you can repurpose the energy and utilize the same energy. Okay, using different tools. You don't have to use just copper wire. You can use plastic tubing and pull chain. Okay, and I haven't tested this out yet, but I'm pretty sure this is pretty powerful stuff here because of all the spheres. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I think it was very important for you guys as viewers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
If there's nothing else, I'd like to go around the table to wrap up the meeting because it's been going on a bit now in time-wise in this place. Right. Shall we go around the table? We start from David. Peter, are you back, Peter? Okay, Peter's not back, but David, do you want to have anything to say before we adjourn the meeting?
There was actually one thing I'd like to mention. I'm very pleased to be here and to speak to everyone. If one was to wire up one's unit straight from the supplier before it went in fuse box, I've asked an electrician for me, and he says too dangerous because of the thickness of wire, the gauge of wire. I mean,
David, we can't hear you. You're breaking off, David.
I think I understand.
Okay.
The thickness of the wire coming in, okay, versus the thickness of the wire of the unit. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they refuse to do it.
Okay. What they're not understanding is that the nano coating is an insulator. Okay? It's like a reverse wire for electricity. Okay? The actual electricity from the main power line never touches or should never touch the copper wire inside of the nano coating. Okay? Because all of the energy will be transferred on the surface of the copper wire. Okay? Now, you can make a device that will step down the electrical current. Okay? And I'm not talking about a transformer. I'm just talking about the size of the wire. Okay? Because plasma energy, you can use the same wire, okay, the same size wire, let's say a solid piece of copper wire that's a foot in diameter, okay, will produce the same amount of energy as a copper wire that's the diameter of a hair, okay? It still produces the same energy. It's just the amount or the volume of that energy. And the volume of energy does not have any bearing on the strength of it. Okay?
Right.
And so when you connect it in line with the main line, yes, you're going to go from a bigger wire to a much thinner wire, okay? But you're not transferring the electrical energy in the traditional way.
It's going on the surface on the nano coating.
Yes,
It's going all in the nano coating, which is a superconductor.
that is correct.
And so there shouldn't be any heat up on the wire.
That's correct.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking, but this is what's come across.
A lot of people are reporting that when they do get heat on the wire, they realize it's because they've crushed the nano coating to the point where the copper wire or maybe their clamp has penetrated the nano coating all the way directly to the copper wire. Okay. One way that I have figured out how to take care of that is to take a piece of copper tape, cut off a little tab of it, and pinch it over the top of the nano coated wire. Okay, and then put my clamps onto the tape. Okay, and the energy is still transferred through it. Okay, it's just not crushing the nano coating anymore.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mike.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thank you.
Right, we don't have time for question and answers because this room is going to be locked. So I really must thank Mike for all the wonderful guidance and information and lessons and workshops. I also like to thank Tricia for showing us Hideka device and things that we could do with the spirals and whatnot, swirling devices. I think we don't have time to go around the table. Everybody has spoken except Jose Ramon and James. Maybe you would like to say a few words.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Very quickly. Yeah, James.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you, James.
Yeah. So I had a question for Mike. So, please don't get mad. I'm sure you know what this is. I'm trying to get this project done. So how would I nanocoat this so it doesn't burn up? How would you nanocoat that, or should I just trash that thing?
Well, you can nanocoat the wires before you wrap them. Okay.
Okay.
That's one thing that we're discussing now is actually nanocoating a spool before we make the Infinity device altogether. But for what you've got there, you can dip it into the ash water. Okay. And if you're concerned about it not being strong enough, add more ash to it. I used activated charcoal so the water was completely black just to make myself feel better. You know? So, you know, it's all based on your own feeling on what's going to work for you. You can't put caustic in there because the caustic will eat away the aluminum foil. Okay? And so, you know, you've got to use just the fresh water. Now, I've got other people working on different kind of a paste to use, okay, and I think I described it earlier, for those capacitors so that you don't have to worry about it drying out or anything like that, okay? But that's a really good looking capacitor that you got going there, you know, so, you know, please take notes and do some diagrams of that, you know. I'm sure they're out there, but if we can always simplify it, it makes it so much easier for newcomers to come in.
Right. I think if you all have any more questions for Mike, you could go to his Facebook as well as the Trinity Project Facebook site, right? Is that okay, Mike? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So we have the two more people. Teresa hasn't said a word. Neither has Jose Ramon. So who first? Teresa, you wanna something to say quickly before we wrap up the meeting?
Okay. At the place I live in London, I don't want to.
Okay. Sure.
I sleep under a copper pyramid in my living room, and it has a copper capstone on the top. And I have a source of these small copper pyramids, and I was thinking it might be interesting to nanocoat the copper pyramids capstone. I don't know if you've heard of anyone nanocoating copper pyramids.
I know copper pyramid.
I mean, that's what we're doing here is the nanocoating copper. So yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
might be an interesting experiment.
Yeah, the nanocoating is the attractor. Okay, that's the energy attractor. If you know, if you just nanocoated the capstone and left the rest of your device plain copper, now you've got a potential difference. So, you know, go ahead and try it and see how you're sleeping.
Well, the thing is, it's nanocoating all the copper tubing could be challenging, you know, because they're quite long. It's just plumbing pipe, you know, and they're quite long.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about just nanocoating the capstone, okay, the copper pyramid top that you've got.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got that and you can connect all four corners to, you know, the regular copper as it comes up to the peak, okay, you got your capstone. If you put the four corners so that the, you know, the copper wire or the tubing is coming down out of it, you've already created a connection. So
right.
It's just the capstone. You don't have to do the rest of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
So one last person, Jose, do you want to say something, Jose Ramon, before we close the meeting and adjourn it to the next? Jose? Oh, I guess you can't speak at her. You've got to unmute yourself. Right. Okay, I can't unmute you because I don't have control. Peter can. Right, anyway, so That's it. No? So there being no other business, the meeting, the 14th FESIG meeting is now being adjourned to the 15th one on the 20th of July. Thank you so much, all.
Thank you.
Much love to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you listening to me out again.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Thanks.
Peter, you can stop recording now, Peter. Thank you so much.
All right. I will. I'll talk with you guys later. Much love, and you know, just deal with your emotions. Time. You know, let them get out, and it's okay to be an emotional person. That's why we're here. You know, be an emotional person. So much love, guys.
An absolute beauty and abundance. Namaste to everyone here. Thank you for being here. It's really great. I appreciate you all.